Is this thing working?
Where are the microphones around?
Let me try. Why does he?
Yeah. Why is?
Because he's integral to the investigation.
Why?
Why? Because he was having a relationship with her, and she disappeared, probably going to his apartment. I think the police, as well as the United States, who elected him as an official, have a right to know if he's involved, or if any way he can shed some light on where she might be.
But that's where the question is, I think. The question is, are we entitled to an explanation, or are the police and the family entitled to an explanation?
Wait a minute, though. Scott's exactly right. That's right.
Well, that's the thing.
The issue. Do we care about Anne Heche's emotional journey, whatever it is? Most of us probably don't. But Gary Condit is a United States congressman, and not only does he owe an explanation, not about his sex life, but about his relationship with Chandra Levy, who is missing and probably dead. And it took him 3 times to tell the police about that. That is an integral part of his investigation. And let me make one other point. Because he's a congressman, his salary is paid by all of us. So yes, I think he does owe us an explanation.
Really? If we pay a congressman's salary, we are owed an explanation of who he's shagging?
I don't think he owes me an explanation.
That's an interesting... Where in the Constitution is that exactly?
And, you know, not to mention the fact that I dumped $8 on 6 days, 7 nights, and was kind of pissed about that. I mean... Just saying.
Wow. The thing is, he doesn't owe us an explanation about sex. He owes the family an explanation. He owes the police an explanation. If he's involved somehow in her disappearance, then, yeah, he owes more than us an explanation. You know, he owes...
But that's not what people were mad about, because the only question he was asked for a whole hour by Connie Chung was, did you do her? Did you do her? Did you do her? That's the one question she kept coming back to. Were you doing her? Were you? And what position? And that is why he is not forthcoming. He's not forthcoming.
If he can't answer that very basic question to Connie Chung after he already answered it to law enforcement, then it throws into question everything else that he had to say.
How ridiculous.
So all of his denials about, you know, I had nothing to do.
Certainly his credibility goes out the window.
How ridiculous. As if everyone who was abducted wasn't having sex with someone.
But here's the thing.
Wait, are we talking UFOs now or what?
No, I mean, there's 50,000 missing people in this country. They were all having sex with someone.
That's it.
Is the people they're having sex with all the #1 suspect?
No, but the people they were having sex with were United States congressmen.
Oh,
as far as we know.
But the reality is, the reality is, there's a person missing, and it's turned into like this like fiasco of like everyone needs to know, like, was he really sleeping with her? We don't need to know. We need to know where this girl is.
But the reason...
And Connie Chung was under a lot of pressure to have a successful interview that night. She had to get the $1 million question. Well, the $1 million question is a crap question because it doesn't mean anything to me if he had sex with her.
We all know that he was. The $1 million question was... The $1 million question was, did you have... The $1 million question there wasn't, you know, were you having an affair, although he wouldn't answer that. The $1 million question was, did you have anything to do with
What do you mean? He asked that, she asked that in the first minute. Do you know where she is? Did you kill her? Yada, yada. He said, no, no, no. Right. The rest of the entire hour was that $1 million question.
Well, the $1 million answer was he was actually having sex with Anne Heche, but that would never come out in the internet.
But as I said on the show the other night, in my righteous indignation, not only is this Gary Condit obsession not relevant, it's actually obstructing. It's obstructing the investigation because there was some garden variety psycho who abducted this girl, some toothless guy in a trailer laughing because everyone is concentrating on Gary Condit. And he's going, they're never going to find me because... I'm a white trash idiot who did this, and they want to know about him.
Gary Condit has done nothing in his own defense. If he had nothing to do with this girl's disappearance, then why has he continued to bring upon himself every suspicion in the world by behaving
Well, wait a second. I mean, I don't know if you heard about this whole Clinton-Lewinsky thing, but it got a little out of hand, and he might have seen that and thought, this could work out poorly for me.
There's no question. They're using this as a model. They're using that as a model. Do exactly what Bill did and just follow it to the letter.
You never heard that cheating men lie about their cheating? You never heard that?
But in the Lewinsky situation, Monica Lewinsky was healthy and walking around. Here we have a missing girl who's probably dead. It's a completely different situation.
Relevant.
And Gary Condit saw Bill Clinton and saw what he did and instructed justice
You just
and everything else.
want it to be relevant.
Could get away
you
with
want
it too.
people
and that's why
who are having sex to be guilty of murder.
You're missing a point.
It seems like what they're saying is, if this guy's cheating, and he's lying to his wife, then somehow it reflects on his culpability in Chandra Levy's disappearance. And they're two separate issues. They might not be interconnected.
You are obstructing finding this girl's killer. You're obstructing it.
Sex had anything to do. It's not the sex here, okay?
It's never the sex. It wasn't the sex with Bill Clinton either.
It wasn't. It wasn't about the sex in either one of those cases. It's about potential crimes that are committed by people who are in high office. It was only about the sex with Bill Clinton.
And it's only about the sex with this. That's why every question was, did you do her? Did you do her? Did you do her? Did you do her? She had 100 different ways of asking that question.
That was such a basic question. And
that you have no right to know.
And he took him 3 times to tell the police, and that's what she wanted to know.
But see, the jump in logic is, if he had said, yes, we had sex, people would have said, I knew it, he's guilty.
What? He have just
I mean, that's what they would have said. You know, it's like, obviously he was having sex with her. Everybody knows. Breaks up with a friend who's in their 20s.
Right.
You know, have you ever been a married man and said, I need to break off our friendship?
He did say he was having sex with her. To anyone with a brain, he said it 100 times.
Exactly.
I'm not a perfect man. But in America, we want explicitness, which is the definition of pornography.
But then when we get it,
we're not happy about it.
That's what I'm saying. Then when Ann Hesh says, but my father put his in my mouth, oh, that's too far.
Yeah.
All right, I have to take a break. We'll be right back.
Politically incorrect.
Mexican President Vicente Fox addressed a joint session of Congress today, shocking everyone by demanding that the immigration system be overhauled in a year. Fox said under the current system, husbands are being separated from wives for years at a time, at which point Hillary Clinton stood up and said, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. All right. Now, we were talking about Ann Hesh, who had her own platform. Speaking of platforms, have you seen that woman in Seattle who was on the bridge?
Oh.
I hate to make fun of the people in that. I'm not making fun of her. But you know what? If you're going to kill yourself, I say, you can't do it at rush hour.
I mean...
People were yelling, jump and get it over with. She was 3 hours at rush hour on a bridge in Seattle.
Yeah, pretty selfish thing to do, isn't it?
Well, you know, normally a cry for help is, you know, to friends and family and not the greater metro area.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, can't you do it at home?
You know what? Why don't you have the dignity to put on some music, light some candles, and slit your wrists in the bathtub like my parents did?
I mean...
what are role models like Kurt Cobain for, after all? Do it at home. Do it alone.
This is horrible.
I know it's horrible, but it's so selfish.
Well, you know...
Suicide is a selfish thing, Bill. It really is. It's a selfish act, and she just took it to selfish extremes.
Well,
no, I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for the people who were stuck in their rush hour commute and they were 3 hours late for work and they had to deal with a screaming boss. But I feel worse over this poor woman who's obviously locked in a severe depression, you know, enough to kill herself.
But wait a second.
She obviously didn't have, I mean, obviously her mind was on bigger things than, you know, tying up Seattle's rush hour.
I don't know about that. You see, it seems it so speaks to me of the narcissism of the age.
Andy Warhol, 15 seconds.
If you really...
She's going to get a development deal now.
That's right. She'll be on this show next week.
If really what was on your mind was just your pain, there's a lot of ways to do it at home. Throw the blow dryer in the bathtub, start dating Robert Blake, do something. There's lots of ways to do it that don't involve the whole world looking at me, me, me.
But, you know, I think there's two things about this that are really sad. Obviously, anybody who's on the verge of suicide, that is a serious issue and shouldn't be dealt with lightly. But I think it's also really sad that, you know, society is at a point where they're like, go ahead and kill yourself. I don't want to miss the 7 o'clock showing of the movie that I'm headed to, you know? I mean,
a 4 hour. I mean, they tied up all the...
oh, 4 hours. Never mind.
4 hours.
My bad.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
4 hours.
I mean, jump or get off the pot. You know, one of the two. You know,
but, you know...
Isn't it odd that... Go ahead.
Well, you didn't finish the end of the story, which was that the commuters were screaming at her, will you jump already, so that they could get to work. And the end of the story is that she actually did jump. Yeah, now, she didn't die. You know, she lived, and she's in, you know, critical
condition. So it's a cute story.
Yeah.
But,
oh, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So,
and you know she's laying in a hospital bed going, no, I'm not even good at that.
Yeah, that's right. Gotta find a higher bridge.
Horrible.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Next week, the Space Needle. That'll do it. I mean, but isn't it odd that, I mean, the cities... I find it ironic that the world's most livable city is like the suicide capital of the United States, which seems a little ironic to me, but I mean...
Seattle?
Yeah, people are jumping.
Well, maybe because it's
jumping's like an Olympic sport there.
It's rainy. You gotta forgive these rush hour people. They're jacked up on Starbucks. They're trying to get to Romania Seattle game.
They're trying to get to the Microsoft headquarters, and they're stressed out. But maybe this is less of a commentary on narcissism than it is on just our stressful, you know, life in this country.
Of course.
I mean, this woman is stressed to the point where she's going to commit suicide, and the commuters are stressed. They're going to be late for work, and it's just...
But why in
very
front of
dramatic
everyone?
about that display. I mean, there's something intentionally dramatic about that.
Exactly. It's less suicide than just look at me.
Yeah, but do you think somebody who's in the depths of depression is thinking, I'm going to go put on a show? I mean, I don't know.
And I think it's tragic, but it is a little bit more self-aggrandizing than simply saying, I want to end my life and I'm going to end my life. I mean, I'm not belittling either side of the issue. I'm just saying they're two separate things. And when you stop rush hour traffic, there's certainly an element of, you know, the little girl, you know, standing on the coffee table going, look at me, you know? I mean, so, not that that's not sad, but it's, you know, that's what it is.
And that's why we're hitting this bitch where she lives, because, no, I kid
Well, she's getting cards, and she's getting flowers, and you know, she's apologizing to her, and, you know, it's tragic because she's now gotten her 4 hours of fame.
I think it goes much deeper than that, because if she wanted to pull a publicity stunt that would get her all of this attention and affection that she was missing in her life, she would have pulled some crazy stunt like the guy a couple weeks ago on the Statue of Liberty with the, you know, whatever it was, parachute.
He wasn't trying to kill himself.
No, but he got a lot of attention. You're saying that the only reason that she did this on the bridge was to get attention.
He was doing that for landmines.
She actually jumped.
No, she thought she was going to die. She hoped she was going to die, but she was going to do it in the most selfish way she could, and that was do it in front of the world and make it a nightmare for everybody.
Well,
you know,
sit in your room, put a gun in your mouth, and do it.
Isn't there an element of I climbed the high dive and now everybody's at the bottom of the ladder and I can't go back down? I mean, after 4 hours, maybe she was like, God, I guess I got to jump now.
Exactly. I got to jump off there for 1 second. You're right, John.
Join us tomorrow when our guest will be rock legend Gene Simmons, CEO of the Row Records, Suge Knight, actor-comedian Christopher Kid Reed, and freelance writer Faye Anderson.
The big MTV Video Music Awards, notable this year for the many stars who couldn't make it because they were either in rehab or it went crazy. It's true. In fact, Jennifer Lopez was there. She announced she's fine, but her ass is suffering from exhaustion. Yes. How fitting. As long as we're talking about crazy people tonight. Yes, right. Mariah Carey said today she's back. Another breakdown.
Wait a minute.
She needs a little ecstasy.
Right.
That'll solve everything, won't it?
I got to say, ecstasy, look, I would never advocate it for kids or anything, but, you know, when ecstasy and LSD, before the government, like, made them illegal and verboten, these drugs were actually used by psychiatrists, and they were helpful in treating psychotic people. It's only that we made them illegal and fun that everyone else glommed onto
Didn't Rock Hudson, wasn't it Rock Hudson that
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant dosed every day for years.
Not every day. That was John Lennon. But Cary Grant, yeah.
But they both made great music.
Right.
Yeah.
But Anne Hesh basically said that she was cuckoo, and then after this ecstasy thing, she was okay. So I'm not saying do ecstasy, kids, but I am just saying That seemed to be, she said she was from the fourth dimension, and then she went to Fresno.
Yeah.
Which is the fourth dimension.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that that's the kind of 24-hour bug that you just wake up one morning and you go, whew, I feel better. Yeah. You know, I mean, it just, that whole, I have a alternate personality that speaks in another language to God thing, I mean...
Yeah, celestial, is that what she's saying?
Yeah, you know, right. And I'm sure God was listening and going, I can't understand a word you're saying.
Yeah, right. You're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, don't think of her lucky husband. He married into a menage a trois. There you go.
Yeah, but she sort of got into this weird sort of pseudo-psychological talk about an alter ego and recovered memory and all of this. And you wonder how much therapy she's been through and what kind of drugs she's actually been on or is on now, and how much of it is true and how much of it is a creation of this mind that she has admitted doesn't work properly. So, you know, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt, don't you think?
Is it a coincidence that her book, her wedding, and her interview were all in the same
and her baby
span?
And it strikes me that it's actually similar to the woman jumping off the bridge. That was her stage, that woman. That was her stage. She doesn't have access to Barbara Walters, 2020, 50 million viewers.
Yeah. Well, she would if she went south on Ellen DeGeneres.
And... You know, Ellen,
you're right.
I mean,
going back to Seattle,
that was her stage.
You're right. If
that was her attention or whatever it was. I don't know what she was doing.
Barbara Walters.
Crazy or not.
Yeah, right, a bridge.
It is.
A bridge in Seattle.
But I know yeah, and I think you're totally right. That's the poor man's Barbara Walters. It's a bridge. Yeah. You can't get Barbara Walters. I can book the bridge.
Yeah. Right. That's right. That's right. 10 o'clock Monday morning.
I got to take a break.
No commercial break.
Noticed that her AIDS-ridden, molesting, herpes-infected father, a deeply religious choir director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But flamboyantly gay, right?
Well, not flamboyantly until after he had to... All right, tomorrow we have Gene Simmons, Suge Knight, Faye Anderson, and Christopher Kid Reed. This should be interesting.